you have to understand, I'm watching a business change in front of me. It's disorienting. Like, I don't understand. What do you mean quarterbacks are now $2 and $3 million? Or like, where are the numbers? I can't believe that we're making it this overt, where Desmond Ridder is paid less than some of the better quarterbacks who teams are now fighting for, because what a great investment, Stugotz. I can fill my stadium. Carolina Panthers can't fill their stadium right now. I can fill my stadium if I just give a quarterback $2 million.
Well, and also, if I can get other people to give a quarterback $2 million, because you get the benefits of filling your stadium, you get that TV contract, and someone else pays for the labor. So the injustice is still around. You talked about transparency and how this is a business now. And several days ago, Matt Rule addressed media, and he was asked directly, because they've been in the market for a quarterback, about what is this quarterback market.
Make no mistake that a good quarterback in the portal costs $1 million to $1.5 million to $2 million right now. So just on the same page, right? So let's make sure we all understand what's happening. So there's some teams that have $6 or $7 million players playing for them.
That's accurate. That's right around what the marketplace is for a quarterback. And as you mentioned, guys like Damian Ridder and Brock Purdy. Yeah, there are several college football quarterbacks that are making more money than starting NFL quarterbacks these days. I don't necessarily think that's right, but that's the marketplace that we're in right now.
Matt Rule, didn't Nebraska just get a giant recruit? What's that backstory?
Raiola, yeah, they flipped him from Dylan Raiola was the nation's #1 quarterback commit. He hasn't flipped, but he got what is in recruiting terms called the crystal ball, which is, apropos for our head coach, but a crystal ball projection that he's going to Nebraska, and those are fairly strong in that industry. So in this game, Matt Rule in 1 year has aligned his resources and been able to flip a 5-star quarterback from the present 2-time defending national champion. That is a sea change, and it shows you that Nebraska will have the resources to compete, and they are in the Big Ten presently with a huge, juicy TV deal, and that is their economy. So they're investing in their economy, and that's a pretty big step for Nebraska.
I know it's weird, Dan, to have college quarterbacks making more than some NFL quarterbacks. It's weird. It's going to take a minute to get used to it. But I'm okay with it from this standpoint. You have teams or programs like Syracuse who never had a chance at getting a kid like Kyle McCord, the Ohio State quarterback. And now, because Ohio State has 3 or 4 good quarterbacks and they have new ones coming in every year, McCord thinks he's not going to play. Syracuse has the money to get McCord, and now Kyle McCord is the Syracuse quarterback. It's more opportunity for more programs.
And Van Dyke is now at Wisconsin, and you're going to have to win in the margin some with this, because this is such a sea change, Stugotz. Nebraska doesn't have any preordained right to be great at football, but they built it like Lincoln, Nebraska is a place because Cornhusker football was winning championships at a time in America where the business was hidden, and Tom Osborne can rule the earth, beating Barry Switzer in the option offense. And now Nebraska has to evolve into this modern version. They hired Scott Frost, Stugotz. They were going to do it with, hey, let's get the hot new coach. Oh, never mind. The whole business has changed. Now let's go get the failed pro coach from Carolina, and he's going to tell everybody, hey, if you want me to actually be good at this, I need more money. And they're all panhandling. They're panhandling to make their programs better.
The panhandling is a great point, because there have been coaches with varying results, right? Lane Kiffin for the last 3 years has taken the opportunity every time to basically fundraise and say, we need more to compete here. Dave Doran, the NC State head coach, they were about to be talent rated. NC State has totally turned their season around. He sounded the klaxon. We need to keep our guys. We need people to compete in NIL, and they kept a wide receiver in Concepcion that a lot of teams were in on, and they got a quarterback from Coastal Carolina that they beat out UCF for. So this is basically politics. It's fundraising in that sense, and Matt Rule's doing a pretty good job of it so far.
What I like about it is that this year, if you look at the 3 quarterbacks that were invited to the Heisman ceremony, they were all transfers who had a more or less like a tough time with their first choices. Like Bo Nix had a really tough time at Auburn, was not a great player, transfers to Oregon, ends up putting up insane numbers and does really well, becomes a Heisman finalist. Same with Michael Penix, same with Jaden Daniels, had a really tough go of it at Arizona State like we've talked about before. And so there's opportunities for players. Maybe you made the wrong choice or it wasn't the right fit for you at whatever school you ended up going to, but then you transfer and you end up in the right situation with the right coach and the right team for you, and you have an opportunity to have a little bit of a second chance in your career. Going back to Raiola for a second, this went viral on Message Board Geniuses on Twitter. Great account. They rake through all the college football message boards and find the most just unhinged posts.
It's been a lot of FSU lately.
That's true. And this was after Dylan Raiola was rumored to be thinking of flipping to Nebraska. The header of this post from the Dogs HQ message board is, "Does anyone here work at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport?" And then the post says, "It's being reported that Raiola will visit Nebraska on Friday. I assume that he'll take the 2:21 p.m. Delta flight, which is also the last flight of the day to the state. Therefore, if this flight gets canceled, he likely won't be able to make the trip and will stay committed to UGA. Obviously, messing with commercial flights is a slippery slope, so I'm not suggesting that anybody does anything illegal. But does anyone here work for Delta? If some loyal UGA pilots or flight attendants call in sick at the last minute, the flight could be canceled and we could keep Raiola. Maybe someone working could hold the flight up for maintenance issues. At the very least, he could, quote, lose his checked bags, so you'd have to experience the Nebraska winter without
Not
a
suggesting
jacket."
that.
I'm just spitballing ideas, but if anyone has anything else, those would also be appreciated.
All right, let me take a step back here, Stugotz, on how it is that we're covering this stuff, because she just brought up a lot of things there, and I want to get to Mike giving us the latest information on what it is that's happening at the University of Miami, where they need to get a quarterback, and it seems like they've got an all-or-nothing plan. And Stugotz, when I look at what is happening in that sport, kids get to the wrong fit, whether it's Bo Nix. I thought it was the right fit. Like, it was, it was a beautiful story.
His dad played there.
It was a beautiful story.
Right, yeah.
And now they have more freedom and more options. And so the sport is hard to play. The position is hard to play. They arrive as kids, and the 3 Heisman finalists had to find a new place where they learned and got more reps outside of Indiana, out going to other cities, playing bigger football, using the pipeline to the way it's supposed to be used. Minor league business that gets you to the pros. It's great that they have those options. It's wonderful that they have those options. But the whole thing is changing, where we're paying kids who are 17 or 18 years old $2 million and changing their life instantaneously coming out of high school, and we're covering it like we used to do we're all now the recruiting letters, because this is a bigger thing and we care so much about Saturdays, we're all Tom Lemmings now, and we're more and more comfortable going younger and younger into the pipeline, where you're paying kids and changing lives and bringing to these lives some unscrupulous behavior, Stugotz, because Mike's got information here on what a school is doing to make sure that it can get the kids and win in the margins if they don't have the money, the kind of places you have to do shady business.
Yeah, I would like to say, and I know that you know this, Dan, but many in our audience who are just listening to your take may feel like you're conflating NIL with shady business practices in college football. No, those have always been around. There's a bit more transparency now, and in terms of the people providing resources, that net is wider. And so in some respects, loose lips sink ships, and other universities that had these tight circles where things could stay within the circle have had to expand their circles. And then you get more things like message board geniuses over there. But for example, I know where you were leading me to. There's an SEC power that one of their moves, if they're recruiting a kid, is occasionally they might enforce some influence in the penal system and see how they can help out a relative that might be behind bars. And that is a move that is old. That is not some new thing that NIL has brought forth. The marketplace does need a market correction. We're going to get to some sound from Chip Kelly, who's a really bright guy, and he has some thoughts about where college football should head. And I'm very curious to get your thoughts on it, because I think this is the closest thing to a good solution that I've heard, and it's coming from someone that had to move to the Big Ten to compete. But since this is still technically the local hour, let's briefly talk about Miami's chase right now, which is extended well beyond several deadlines that they have instituted. They had both Will Howard and Cam Ward in on campus last week. Can
I stop you? I'd like bells and whistles on this because this seems like it's coming here hot and heavy. Stugotz, I'm telling you, Miami has in Mike Ryan an insider, unlike the Barry Jacksons and the Scoop Slaters. Mike is inside this machine. Can we make this? This is big news. Mike Ryan has the latest in recruiting information. That's not.
Yeah,
that's,
he wanted bells and whistles, though.
Yeah, well, you got this.
Well, what is that?
And if you're in the know, there's a lot of great reporters that follow Miami, so a lot of this stuff is public knowledge, such as the visits from Will Howard and Cam Ward. Where we are is Miami had a Thursday at 3:00 deadline, and as week unfolded, that actually got shifted up to Wednesday, and now it's still. The word was Cam Ward wanted to make a decision yesterday. That still hasn't happened. And I can tell you, genuinely, I have no idea who Miami's quarterback is going to be. If I had to guess, I'd venture a guess. But they could have had Will Howard, the Kansas State quarterback. They could have had him. And they would tell people last week that there really isn't a difference between these two quarterbacks. They rate them both. But Will Howard was ready to commit then and there. So if there was no difference, then why not just take the commitment from Will Howard? Seems to me like there is internally a bit of a difference in how they rate Cam Ward and Will Howard.
Whoop, whoop.
The evolution on it is it appears since a 5-star quarterback that is presently on USC's roster has entered the portal, that'd be a pretty big indicator that a new talent is coming in. And the most recent reports have Will Howard going to USC.
Ooh.
So where Miami stands in right now with Cam Ward is Cam Ward, unless there's a mystery school out there, and I guess you could throw Ohio State in the mix, even though I haven't heard anything with regards to them and Cam Ward, is the decision for Cam Ward is Miami or FSU.
Whoa!
That is not news.
What is Miami's backup plan, Mike?
Miami's backup plan was Will Howard, and that's gone to USC.
What?
So I guess a name that has been bounced around has been KJ Jefferson, or you just retain your guys and you develop them, or maybe just wait till the spring.
I liked him. I liked KJ Jefferson.
I liked him outside
Arkansas.
of Dan Enos.
From Arkansas? He's been there for 10 years.
Okay, who cares?
I mean, I liked him outside of Dan
you're
Enos' offense, but that where Miami stands right now is they're in a recruiting. Well, it used to be called the recruiting battle. Now it's in negotiation with Cam Ward and his reps, and it's been reported on what he is looking for there. Ironically enough, even though Miami is reputed to be this big NIL school, when it comes to that position, Florida State is as competitive as anyone in the nation, and you have a school in Florida State that desperately needs a win because players are jettisoning left and right. So it'll be a great battle.
News and information supported by Chris Cody's ad lib genius.